This is for you on the drive home. Not the drive home from something dramatic, not from a fight, not from a breakdown, not from the kind of moment that would be easy to point to and say, that's the thing that hurt me. The drive home from something ordinary, a dinner, a conversation, an afternoon with someone you've known for years, and somewhere on the way back, in the quiet of the car, with the city moving past the window, you feel it, that familiar settling, the slow return of yourself after spending hours being slightly less than yourself, slightly smaller, slightly more careful, slightly more aware of how much space you are taking up. You're not angry. You're not even sad exactly. It's more like tired in a specific way, the kind that comes from working harder than you should have had just to feel okay in a room with someone who was supposed to make you feel okay. You felt this before, many times, and at some point along the way, without quite deciding to, you arrived at a conclusion that the common denominator was you, that maybe you were the difficult one, the too much one, the one who needed more than people could give. I want to sit with that conclusion for a moment, because I think it's wrong. The belief forms quietly. That's what makes it so hard to see. It doesn't arrive as a single moment. Someone sitting you down and telling you that you are too much, too sensitive, too needy. It arrives in accumulation, in the small moments that add up without announcing themselves. The person who went distant without explanation and left you searching for what you did wrong. The relationship where you bent yourself into different shapes, trying to fit and somehow still couldn't. The friendship where you were always the one reaching, always the one checking in, always the one holding the weight of keeping it alive. The conversations where you felt most yourself and got back something flat. The times you tried to say something real and watched it land somewhere that wasn't quite received. The moments you needed something and asked for it, carefully, reasonably, and found that even that was somehow too much. None of these moments said to you directly, you are hard to love. But together, over time, they suggested it. They created a kind of evidence that your mind assembled into a case. And the case said, the problem is you. The problem is how much you feel. The problem is what you need. The problem is that you keep ending up here in the same place with the same ache, which means statistically, logically, the problem must be you. It is one of the most painful conclusions a person can arrive at, and it is one of the most common, and it is almost always wrong. Here's what actually happened. You were loved, or something that called itself love, by people who had a limited capacity to love. Not because they were bad people, not because they chose not to try, but because they could only offer what they had. And what they had wasn't enough for what you needed. And what you needed wasn't unreasonable. You needed someone to stay with the conversation past the comfortable part, to ask the follow-up question, to notice when you went quiet and understand what the quiet meant, to let you be complicated without treating your complexity as an inconvenience, to love you on the days when you were not easy, not because easy is a prerequisite for love, but because easy is never actually the point. Some people can do this, many people cannot, not because of cruelty, but because of capacity. They were raised in houses where feelings were managed, not felt, where need was something to be minimized, where love was conditional on being presentable, and they brought all of that, quietly, invisibly, into their relationship with you. And you, who perhaps felt things more deeply, who perhaps needed more contact, more realness, more presence, you absorbed the gap between what they could give and what you needed as evidence of your own deficiency. But the gap was never about you. The gap was about capacity, and capacity is not a verdict on your worth. There is a difference, and it matters enormously, between being hard to love and being loved by someone who didn't know how. Being hard to love would mean that the love itself was the problem, that what you asked for was unreasonable, that what you needed was excessive, that who you are is somehow too much for a human relationship to hold. Being loved by someone who didn't know how means something entirely different. It means the love was limited by the person offering it, not by the person receiving it. It means the mismatch was about capacity, not worth. It means you could have been anyone, softer, quieter, less feeling, more easy. And the outcome would have been the same, because the limitation was never in you. Most people who believe they are hard to love have spent years in relationships with people who had a limited capacity for emotional presence, people who needed things to stay on the surface, people who were uncomfortable with depth, with need, with the kind of love that requires you to actually see someone. And when those relationships ended, or faded, or grew cold, or simply never arrived at the place you needed them to arrive, the easiest conclusion was that you were the variable, the thing that changed from relationship to relationship, the one constant in every situation that didn't work. But you were not the problem. You were the person asking for something real in rooms that had never learned how to give it. What loving the wrong people teaches you over time is a very specific silence. You learn to feel the need and not say it, to want connection and reach for your phone instead of for the person next to you, to have something real happening inside you and translate it into something smaller before it comes out. Because smaller is safer, because smaller doesn't risk the particular disappointment of watching something true land on someone who isn't ready for it. You learn to read the room before you speak, to calibrate, to manage the distance between what you feel and what you show, because the distance has protected you before, and you have come to trust it more than you trust the absence of it. And all of this, the silence, the calibration, the careful management of your own interior, gets misread by others as being closed off, by yourself as being difficult, when actually it is just the evidence of having learned correctly from experience. You learned that some people cannot hold what you offer, so you stopped offering all of it, not because you were too much, because you were trying to fit into spaces that were too small. The person who emerges from years of this is not broken. She is tired. She is careful. She has developed a highly sophisticated system for protecting something she was never sure was worth protecting. It was always worth protecting. It always will be. There is a philosopher named Martin Buber who spent much of his life thinking about what it means to truly encounter another person. He made a distinction that has stayed with me. He said that most of what we call relationship happens in what he called the I-at mode, where we interact with people as roles, as functions, as objects in our own story. The colleague, the partner, the friend who fulfills a particular need. We are present with them, but not fully. We are managing the interaction more than inhabiting it. And then there are moments, rare and not something you can force, that he called I-thou, moments where two people actually meet, where there is no performance, no management, no distance maintained for safety, where one person sees another and the seeing is complete, and the other person knows they have been seen. Buber believed these moments were among the most significant things that could happen between two human beings, and he also knew they were rare because they require a kind of presence that most people have never been taught, a willingness to be affected, to let the other person's reality actually land. What you have been looking for in all of it, through all of it, is exactly this, not the performance of love, the real thing, the kind where you don't have to make yourself smaller before you walk through the door. That is not too much to want. That is the only thing worth wanting. You deserve someone who asked how you were and waited for the real answer, not the fine, not the good, thanks. The real answer, the one that takes a moment to arrive, the one that requires the other person to be still long enough for you to find the words. You deserve someone who noticed when you went quiet and understood that the quiet meant something, who didn't need you to explain every feeling before it was allowed to exist, who could sit with you in the complicated parts without immediately reaching for a solution or a refrain or a reason why it wasn't as hard as it felt. You deserve to be loved on the days when you weren't easy, not in spite of your depth, but because of it, by someone who found your capacity to feel extraordinary rather than exhausting, who understood that the same thing that makes you hard to be around on the difficult days is the thing that makes you capable of love that most people never experience. This is not a description of a perfect person. It is a description of someone with enough emotional capacity to be present, enough willingness to be affected, enough understanding that love is not a transaction where you receive only what you can easily give back. You were never asking for too much. You were asking the right things of people who had nothing left to give, so I want to offer you something before this ends. Not a promise that the next person will be different, not a reassurance that love is coming, or that you just need to be more open or more patient or more anything. Just this, the version of you that learned to make herself smaller. She was trying to survive. The version that stopped asking for things because asking had stopped working. She was being reasonable. The version that read every room before entering and calibrated every feeling before expressing it. She was protecting something real. She was right to protect it. And she was protecting it for someone who would eventually know what to do with it. Not because love is guaranteed, but because the thing she was protecting, your capacity to feel, to connect, to be present, to love, in a way that actually costs something. That is not a liability. It is the rarest thing. You were never hard to love. You were loved by people who had never learned how to love something that asked them to be real, and that is a story about their limitation, not your worth. It has always been a story about their limitation, not your worth. The letter I wish someone had sent you sooner is this one. You were never the problem. I don't know exactly where you are right now. Maybe you're still in one of those relationships. Maybe you've left them all behind and are somewhere in the quiet that comes after. Not quite healed, not quite sure what comes next, but present in a way you haven't been in a long time. Maybe you're on that drive home, the ordinary one, with the city moving past the window and that familiar weight settling somewhere in your chest. Wherever you are, I want you to know that the weight you've been carrying is not evidence of your deficiency. It is evidence of your capacity, of how much you were willing to feel and give and try in spaces that were not built to hold it. That capacity doesn't disappear. It waits. Perhaps what it is waiting for is simply this, for you to stop using it as proof that something is wrong with you and to start recognizing it for what it actually is. The rarest, most human thing. I make these for the moments that don't have a clean name, for the drive home, for the quiet after, for the feelings that have been waiting a long time for someone to finally say them out loud. If this one found you at the right moment, subscribing means the next one will find you too. And if something in here landed somewhere real, I'd genuinely love to know. Leave a comment. Tell me what stayed with you. I read them, all of them.